but the healthy kinds. This particular snack is now called the Black Diamond of Bihar. It's the humble makhana for all the 90s kids out there that your grandmothers ran behind you to consume in different forms. Now it's become rather cool, taken a very fresh avatar. We'll tell you all about that.
Right, we're going to take a look at that. Other stories too right here on the show. I'm Toya Singh. Let's take a look first at everything on the agenda today. First up, as we promised, we take a look at this black diamond from Bihar, but now from other parts in the country too. The Makhana mania, a snacking sensation that has now gone global. Long talked about in Ayurveda, the health hype around this hidden gold. We talk a little bit about makhana's rise. What other secrets could also be future makhanas when it comes to Indian agriculture, and how the Bihar government, Bihar infrastructure in particular, has made what once used to be a very unsafe farming practice into a safer one.
Also on the program today, we have the head of DBS bank here who weighs in on can India's MSMEs actually go global? The funding startup, beyond cash flows, what's really next? Is it a game changer really? The announcements in Budget 2025, we decode that on the program.
And then we take you to the world of planes. It's a super fun few days at Aero India 2025 that's taking place as we speak in Bangalore. It's Asia's largest air show underway in Yelahanka. Indian naval aviation is showcasing cutting-edge tech. You've got a number of countries coming in from abroad, Russia, USA, top pilots from across the world coming in, flying their planes, and Indian forces displaying their best.
And also on the program, Carla Sofia faces backlash over resurfaced tweets. The Oscar nominee now dealing with the controversy amidst her own Oscar campaign. Netflix distancing itself from the racially insensitive tweets.
Makhana has been around for centuries. It's used in religious rituals, in Ayurveda, and in Indian households. It's something you turn and knew was always a snack that was ready. Today, this ancient seed is seeing a modern resurgence. It's turned into one of India's biggest superfood success stories, and it's being referred to as the Black Diamond of India. Makhana cultivation happens in Assam, Manipur, West Bengal, Tripura and Odisha. But a huge chunk of it is centered around the state of Bihar. In fact, Budget 2025 set up a Makhana Board to improve production, processing and marketing of makhana.
India is now, in fact, the largest producer of makhana globally, fulfilling almost the entire world's supply. And the numbers sort of speak for themselves. The Indian makhana industry is valued at 3,000 crores with expected double-digit growth in the coming years. The flavored makhana, that's the modern version, remember, the market alone is worth 150 crore, and exports have been rising annually by 25% with rising demand in China, in Korea, Thailand, Europe, in the US as well. The prices have skyrocketed from about 80 rupees per kg in 98, that's a long time ago, to about 900 per kg today in India. But globally, the premium makhana is selling at 13,000 per kg. That's a baffling number, and we'll try and understand how actually that happens. The surge isn't random. It's backed by strong innovation. The government is offering about 75% subsidies, expanding cultivation to 35,000 hectares. There is now something called a GI tag, which is very interesting, of the Mithila makhana that has positioned itself as a premier product as well, with global brands now recognizing. So the question on the program that we're asking is, can it really become India's next global superfood? Or are we asking this question too late and it's already arrived?
Okay, so let's take a look at who's going to be joining us today to decode this with us. First up, we have Rohit Mehrotra. He's the co-founder of a brand that you found in your kitchens already, Organic Tattva. They put out organic products of different kinds. And Rohit, one of your latest offerings, in fact, is actually makhana. So tell us a little bit about the makhana story. Why did Tattva decide? And I just want to tell our audiences, if you go online, you look at the other products Tattva offers, there are a lot of home goods, a lot of organic goods, but this is one of the few, if I may say, quintessential snack offerings. You have almonds, you have cashew nuts. Makhana stood out. So just tell us, why did you decide to launch it? What were your initial thoughts? What did your own market research show you?
Actually, Makhana is one of the fastest growing snacks category in India right now. Consumers are switching to Makhana because it is low in calories as compared to other Indian snacks, and it is more nutritious. So we switched to this category because there was demand from our consumers. We were talking to retailers, and they said that organic tattva and natural tattva should launch Makhana. This is the reason we got into this.
I see. And what has the response been like, Rohit? I'm trying to understand, is it just a metro phenomena? Is only urban India, those who are healthy about their choices, snacking? Or do you think there's a larger acceptance in the masses as well about Makhana?
So we have recently launched Makhana, and we are trying to scale up sales very fast. Most of organic tattva sales actually come from modern trade and e-commerce. So we sell in top 100 cities in India. If you look at all the states, we sell in the state capital, metro cities, and second and third city of every state. I would say the initial response has been pretty good for us, especially from quick commerce and e-commerce. And now we are listing the products on modern trade, standalone premium outlets in top 100 cities of the country. But initial response has been great for us.
Okay. Can we ask you, Rohit, tell us a little bit about the process of actually sourcing the Makhana. So in a little while from now, we'll hopefully have experts telling us about how it's farmed. But right from bringing it from the farm to the table, what's the process? How does a company decide where it wants to source its Makhana from? Break it down for us.
So as you rightly mentioned, most of the Makhana in India is actually sourced from Bihar. We also sourced our Makhana from Mithila district in Bihar. So, Makhanas, they call it actually sooth. But, if you convert sooth into mm, it is anywhere between 10 to 20 mm, right? And as we grow big in size, the premium would also increase on the prices of Makhana. So, we source our Makhana from Mithila district. It comes in our factory in Greater Noida. We do all the grading, sorting, as per the size requirement. We usually pack around 15 to 16 mm of Makhana in our brand, and basically just remove all the impurities. Do the sorting as per the sizes. Then it is packed in our pouch.
I see. Rohit, I want to understand the transition that Makhana has made. What did you have to do to make it appeal to this younger audience, to a more superfood conscious audience? I see lots of flavorings, etc. But is there a story beyond that?
So, since organic tattva is more of a grocery play, pack Makhana in raw form. We don't roast it at the moment, but that is, of course, logical next step for us. We have started off with raw Makhana packed in, a big pouch, like a 200 gram or 500 gram pouch for us. But going forward, we would be getting into flavored Makhana as well, because I think that can be appealed to the younger audience, because they want something which is ready to eat with good flavors. Both domestic and international flavors would be coming in soon in our Makhana.
Rohit, I want to ask you, what's the process of research like for that aspect? Because that's so interesting. Now you have a ready product in the foxnut that is in raw form, but now can be flavored in different flavors. What is the research process of now understanding, okay, these flavors are working, these aren't? Because with Makhana, it's a pretty wide range when you look at the market. Everything from more Western offerings, cream and onion, to pudina flavor. It's a vast variety. So what does the next step look like?
I think, there is premiumization taking place, and Indians are traveling all over the world now, especially urban Indians. Of course, they love their Indian flavors a lot, like your tomato flavors, your masala flavors, black pepper, ghee roasted Makhana. But I was quite surprised. I recently found wasabi flavored Makhana. So so there was cream, onion, and cheese flavored Makhana. I think it would always be a combination of Indian flavors as well as international flavors. Yeah, that would appeal to the younger audience.
I see. Rohit, hold on to that thought. We also have Dr. Anil Kumar Singh, Director of Research at the Bihar Agricultural University, joining us now. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. एंड सिंह साहब, हमें ये बताइए पहले तो कि इतना काम किया है बिहार के एग्रीकल्चरल मिनिस्ट्री ने मखाना के पीछे, पहली बार कब डिस्कवर हुआ कि इसके पीछे इतना रिसर्च होना चाहिए और इसे मासेस तक ले जाना चाहिए? ये हमारा एक सुपर फूड है, एक हिडन ट्रेजर है, एक ब्लैक डायमंड है जिसे पूरी दुनिया को देखना है अभी।
जैसा कि अभी आप रोहित भाई से सुन रहे थे, बहुत सारी बातें उन्होंने बताई कि जो है इसका जो है वैल्यू एडिशन कैसे होगा, कैसे बाहर जाएगा, कैसे ये डिफरेंट प्लेस पे जाएगा। लेकिन उसके पहले अगर इसकी हम बात करते हैं, इसकी ट्रेजरी कितनी ज्यादा है। ये पानी के नीचे होता है, इसका ऐसा कोई पार्ट नहीं है जिसमें कांटे ना हो एक्सेप्ट रूट। और जब इसकी पॉपिंग की जाती है तो वो 130 से 140 डिग्री टेम्परेचर होगा, एक सर्टेन प्रेशर के साथ उसकी पॉपिंग की जाएगी, हीटिंग की जाएगी, तब वो पॉप होता है। तो ये जो लोग काम इस पे करते हैं वो बहुत ही मार्जिनल तबके के लोग हैं जो इस पे काम करते हैं। बिहार सरकार ने इस पे काम करना चालू किया और बिहार एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटी, बिहार कृषि विश्वविद्यालय ने इस पे काम शुरू किया। और सबसे पहली जो इसकी वैरायटी रिलीज हुई है वो 2019 में हुई है। और जब हमने इसकी वैरायटी रिलीज की तो इसके साथ हम लोग अभी आप जीआई की बात कर रहे थे, तो हम लोगों ने इसकी जीआई लिया। जीआई के कारण क्या होता है कि जो हमारी विरासत होती है, जो हमारी धरोहर होती है, उस विरासत से हम लोग जो है व्यापार की तरफ गए। अभी आप देखें, आप खुद ही बात कर रहे थे कि इसका जो प्राइस कितना फ्लक्चुएट हो रहा है। आपने इसके बहुत सारे स्टैटिस्टिक्स अभी बताए कि 3000 करोड़ का इसका जो है रॉ हो गया है, और साथ ही साथ जो फ्लेवर्ड मखाना है वो 150 करोड़ रुपीज का हो गया है। लेकिन जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, जो इसकी पॉपिंग का परसेंटेज होता है, जो व्हाइट गोल्ड निकलता है, आप उसको ब्लैक गोल्ड बोल रहे थे, तो जो ब्लैक से जो व्हाइट निकलता है पॉपिंग के बाद, उसकी जो ग्रेडिंग के ऊपर बहुत डिपेंड करता है उसकी प्राइस। अब इसकी जो ग्रेडिंग होती है सॉरी वो होती है इसके साइज के ऊपर। इसका जो सबसे लार्ज साइज होता है, जो किंग साइज होता है, जो जंबो साइज होता है, उसका जो साइज होता है वो 12 से 15 mm साइज का होता है, जो किंग साइज होगा। उसके नीचे जब आएंगे तो उसको आप लार्ज साइज कह सकते हैं, जो 9 से 12 mm का होता है। इसी तरीके से जो मीडियम साइज होता है, ये 6 से 9 mm का साइज का होता है मखाने का साइज। जो स्मॉल साइज होता है वो 3 से 6 mm का होता है। जो बेबी साइज होता है लेस देन 3 mm का होता है। तो इसकी जो क्वालिटी जो होती है और जो साइज होता है, उस साइज के ऊपर इसका मार्केट डिपेंड करता है। लेकिन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट जो चीज ये होती है, ये तो हुई इसकी साइज की बात। जो पॉपिंग परसेंट होता है इसके अंदर, जो मखाना रॉ मखाना होता है, 1 kg रॉ मखाना को अगर जब हम पॉप करते हैं तो उसमें कितना निकलता है। तो जो हमारी लोकल वैरायटीज है, जो लगातार चलती चली आ रही है सदियों से, वो उसकी पॉपिंग परसेंट 30% 40% के आसपास है। लेकिन जो हमने सबौर मखाना 1 प्रजाति निकाली, उसका पॉपिंग परसेंट 50 से 60% है। इस कारण आप देख सकते हैं, तो पॉपिंग परसेंट बड़ा है। हमारी प्रजाति का जो प्रोडक्शन है, जो पर हेक्टेयर प्रोडक्शन है, जो जनरल वैरायटी होती है, वो 15 से 20 कुंटल होता है। हमारी है 35 कुंटल प्लस की। तो आप समझ सकते हैं जो हमने प्रजाति बनाई, उससे उसका उत्पादन 15-20 से 35 कुंटल गया। और साथ ही साथ जो उसकी पॉपिंग परसेंटेज थी, जो 30%, जो रिकवरी कह सकते हो, 30% 40% थी, वो 50 से ऊपर चले गए। तो इस तरीके से दोहरा फायदा हुआ है। बेटा के साथ हमारी एक मीटिंग हो रही थी, तो उसमें बात हुई कि 2 वैरायटी निकाली है, एक आइशियार्ड निकाली है स्वर्ण वैदेही, और एक हम दोनों निकाली है सबौर मखाना 1। दोनों प्रजाति का जो कीपिंग क्वालिटी है, जो न्यूट्रिशन है, दोनों में फर्क है। अभी हम लोगों ने इसके अंदर एक जो है बायो एक्टिव कंपाउंड की खोज की है, और वो जो है सल्फोनामाइड कंपाउंड है, जो कि इन जनरल जो है अभी जो है नेचुरली नहीं पाई जाती थी। अभी हम लोगों ने उसको डिस्कवर किया है। अभी 1 तारीख को जब ये मखाना बोर्ड की घोषणा की गई थी सेंट्रल बजट में, उसी दिन माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जो है बिहार श्री नीतीश कुमार जी ने हमारे यहाँ पर आकर के मखाना का एक जो है इनवेलप जो है रिलीज किया है। तो हम लोग मखाना के सतत विकास के लगातार काम कर रहे हैं। अभी हम लोग मखाना के ऊपर एक डाक टिकट भी जारी करने जा रहे हैं, जिसको जो है माननीय उप राष्ट्रपति महोदय इसको रिलीज करें। हमारे पास 5 ऐसे जीआई प्रोडक्ट हैं, मखाना उसमें से एक है। एक शाही लीची जो यहाँ की है, एक जो है कतरनी धान है यहाँ का, मगही पान है, और जरदालू मैंगो। ये
बहुत सारी चीजें आपने बता दी हैं।
so exciting, हाँ।
हाँ, डॉक्टर सिंह, और ये पता भी चल रहा है कि आप कितने पैशन के साथ ये काम करते हैं। तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मैं बताने के लिए। आई जस्ट वांट टू ऐड हमारे व्यूअर्स के लिए, आप जो पॉपिंग की बार बार बात कर रहे हैं, जैसे पॉपकॉर्न पॉप होता है और इसीलिए मखाना को ब्लैक डायमंड कहते हैं। वो एक्चुअली काले फॉर्म में निकल कर आता है, और इसे जब आप हीट करते हैं तो वो पॉप करके दैट्स द व्हाइट मखाना दैट यू सी। जस्ट अ लिटिल कॉन्टेक्स्ट।
हीट करने के बाद उसको स्ट्राइक करना पड़ता है, नॉट ओनली हीटिंग।
हाँ,
हीट करने के बाद उसको स्ट्राइक करना पड़ता है, हैमर के साथ हैमरिंग की जाती है उसके ऊपर। हीटिंग 130 से 140 डिग्री का होगा, उसके बाद उस पे जो है 200 psi का प्रेशर देना पड़ेगा।
सो डॉक्टर
ये
सिंह
बहुत ही
एक सेकंड रुकिए, बिकॉज हम अपने दर्शक को ये भी समझाना चाहते हैं, स्पेशली दोज ऑफ यू हु आर located down south, located in other parts of the country, maybe don't speak Hindi. We just want to convey to you what Dr. Singh is saying. The simple essence is, they've created a new variety over the last few years. This variety has a higher yield, and that's essentially what's been so great about all of the research that they've done. Dr. Singh, आपसे एक और सवाल पूछना था। जो practices हैं, जिस तरह से हम मखाना को उगाते हैं, उनमें भी काफ़ी changes आई हैं from the research जो मैंने देखा आपका। उसके बारे में भी आप हमें कुछ बता सकते हैं? जैसे जो किसान जो पहले उगाते थे, अब जैसे उगाते थे, उसमें भी फर्क आया है, उसके बारे में बता सकते हैं?
जी, अभी जो ट्रेडिशनली मखाना उगाया जाता है, वो क्या होता है कि जो है तालाबों में होता है, नदियों में होता है, झरनों में होता है। लेकिन अभी हमने इसको सिस्टम मोड में लाए हैं कि अगर पानी अगर स्टैंडिंग है 1 से 2 फीट, 2.5 फीट, 3 फीट है, उसमें हम इसको उगा सकते हैं। साथ ही साथ एक साथ मखाना खत्म होने के बाद हम अपनी दूसरी क्रॉप भी ले सकते हैं। इस तरीके से इसको रोटेशन में लाए हैं, जिससे किसानों की न केवल जीविकोपार्जन में वृद्धि हुई, उनके आय में भी जो है डाइवर्सिफिकेशन आया है, जिससे वो ना केवल सिर्फ मखाना उगाएं, वो अपनी और जरूरत की जो चीजें हैं, उसको गेहूं ले सकते हैं, वो धान ले सकते हैं, बरसीम ले सकते हैं, सरसों ले सकते हैं, जो रबी की फसलें उसको ले सकते हैं। साथ ही साथ हमने इसका जो ड्यूरेशन, जो इसकी ड्यूरेशन होती है, जो जनरल मखाना की वैरायटी होती है, वो 250 से जो है 260 से 270 दिन लेती है। जो हमारी प्रजातियां हैं वो 230 दिन तक लेती हैं। अभी हम लोग सुपर अर्ली वैरायटी की जो है प्रजाति पे काम कर रहे हैं, जो 200 दिन के आसपास की है। इसके कारण हमारे अंदर जो क्रॉपिंग इंटेंसिटी है उसमें वृद्धि आएगी। इस तरीके जो सारी जो चीजें हम लोग कर रहे हैं एक एक करके, ये पूरे मखाना के जो पूरा इकोसिस्टम को बदल देगा। मैं यहाँ पे एक चीज और जोड़ना चाह रहा हूँ, अभी आप लोग बात कर रहे थे
डॉक्टर सिंह, सॉरी, एक चीज आपसे जरूर पूछना है। कभी कभी कहा जाता है कि ये जो न्यू वैरायटीज हैं, समटाइम्स दे यूज मोर वाटर, देयर आर अदर एनवायरमेंटल मैल इफेक्ट्स। यहाँ पे कोई एनवायरमेंट को कोई असर होगा इन नई वैरायटीज से?
बिल्कुल, आपका एकदम सही प्रश्न है। कार्बन फुटप्रिंट और वाटर फुटप्रिंट की आप बात कर रहे हैं। जब हमारी वैरायटी का ड्यूरेशन कम होगा, गेस्टेशन पीरियड कम होगा, उनकी पानी जहाँ तालाबों में हो जाता था उसको लोग फील्ड में लाए, 1.5 से 2 फीट के फील्ड में लाए, तो पानी का भी वाटर फुटप्रिंट कम हुआ, कार्बन फुटप्रिंट कम हुआ। और जो है बायो फैक्ट्री को साथ हमने जो है एनर्जी को चैनलाइज किया, जिससे उसका प्रोडक्शन भी बढ़ा है। पर यूनिट एरिया कास्ट का प्रोडक्शन भी कम हुआ है। यही कारण है कि आप ये देख सकते हैं कि इसकी जो क्वालिटी बढ़ी, इसकी कीपिंग क्वालिटी बढ़ी है। इसके जब भी हम स्टोर करें तो इसका जो है मॉइस्चर कंटेंट जो है 12 से 15% के आसपास ही रखें। अभी आप देखिए कि ये विदेशों में मखाना कितना चला गया है, जहां जहां हमारे भारतवंशी है वहां चला गया है। अभी विश्व के 30 से 35 कंट्री में जा रहा है, गल्फ कंट्री में जा रहा है, यूके में जा रहा है, यूरोपियन कंट्रीज में जा रहा है, यूएस में जा रहा है, इस सब जगह जा रहा है। और इस पे जहां जहां हमारे भारतवंशी वहां पे जा रहा है। आपको ये ग्रेट स्नैक्स है और साथ ही साथ एक कीटोन फूड है, जिसके अंदर आपको लो ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स है। और जो है जीआई कम है इसके अंदर, तो जो बहुत सारी इसके एंटीऑक्सीडेंट है, एंटी कैंसरस है,
तो
एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी
मखाना की बहुत सारी जो क्वालिटीज है उनके बारे में हमारे पास एक और गेस्ट चैनल जी, उनसे भी बात करेंगे। लेकिन जाते जाते आपसे मैं ये समझना चाहती हूँ कि अभी आप मखाना की इंसाइक्लोपीडिया हैं, आपको इतना पता है उसके बारे में। अगर हम आम लोग जो इस समय टीवी देख रहे हैं और हम जैसे लोग अगर जाके देखना चाहें कि मखाने की क्वालिटी कैसे जज करें, क्या आप बता सकते हैं किन चीज़ों पर ध्यान देना चाहिए, किस तरह का मखाना खरीदना चाहिए?
जी, अभी जैसे हमने बताया कि जब भी आप मखाना खरीदें तो जो उसकी पैकिंग हो वो एयर टाइट हो, क्योंकि मॉइस्चर एक बहुत बड़ा इशू है। जैसे मॉइस्चर बढ़ेगा उसके अंदर रेंसिडिटी आएगी, बहुत सारे फंगस का अटैक होगा उसके अंदर, उसकी क्वालिटी डिटेरियोरेट होगा। बेस्ट यही होगा कि जब मखाना का सीजन हो एयर टाइट पैक से ही खरीदें, और साथ ही साथ जब सीजन हो तभी लें, अच्छे स्टोर से खरीदें, तब ये चीजें रहेंगी। और जो उसकी साइज है, साइज मैटर्स।
Size matters. All right, Mr. Singh, thank you so much for joining us. What an absolute delight to hear somebody from an agriculture department speak so passionately about a product. But on that note, we have another guest with us as well. Luke Tino is with us, integrated lifestyle coach. Luke, I hope you caught a bit of that chat that we had with Mr. Singh from the agriculture department. Like I said, he's a Makhana encyclopedia. He knew so much about it. But
I picked up more of the passion than the subject.
yeah,
actually.
yeah, same, same. So, you know, before you came on, we were trying to understand the business of Makhana, then the agricultural aspect of Makhana. But with you, I want to understand the nutritional aspect of Makhana. There is this whole game about superfoods doing the rounds, right? So, according to you, how does Makhana fare in that? How much of it is hype? How much of it is actually true?
I think it's a great food. I'm not going to call it a superfood, because if you call anything a superfood, it just gets more expensive for the public at some point. So, and to be honest, many foods are different in their own ways. The beauty about Makhana, which is also foxnut, especially in a country, let's talk relevance to India being the diabetic capital of the world. Okay, it is a great snack considering Indians love snacks, but we shouldn't forget that it has its share of carbohydrates as well. So pairing this food, like if I was going to do Makhana as a snack, I would pair it with nuts. I would pair it with a protein like yogurt, and then I can get the benefits of it because it is nutrient dense. We are looking at a fair amount of protein. We're looking at magnesium. We're looking at iron. We're looking at potassium. And my favorite, we're looking at antioxidants like flavonoids, which is great in a country that is mostly inflamed because of our lifestyle, because of our quality of air. So yes, absolutely yes. But it doesn't come without a disclaimer that I can't go on eating Makhana like chips because it is a complex carbohydrate. While it is great for blood sugar levels, and I would give a diabetic Makhana as a snack portion control because the GI, the glycemic index is about 50 to 54, which is actually really good. Now, why I like Makhana is because of its fiber. It's a complex carbohydrate. So let's say if we're doing 100 grams, it's giving me about 350 calories, about 9.5 of protein, 14.5 grams of fiber. So it's not going to raise my blood sugar levels too high if I eat the right quantity. It's going to help me feel full as well. It's got a high satiety point, magnesium, iron in small quantities. So it's a great snack, but portion control. I'm not going to eat 100 grams and get 75 grams of carbohydrates at one shot. So maybe I would do 30 grams, maybe I would do 50 grams. But again, depending, my athletes, my cricket players would have 100 grams as an easy snack because that's how much they're burning.
Yeah.
So from person to person, it's a great, great snack, but paired with a protein. It must be paired with a protein.
Luke, tell us, there are two different kinds. There's unroasted and roasted. When one is looking to buy packaged Makhana, what should you be picking up the bag and looking at in terms of ingredients used in roasting, other ingredients used for flavoring? What should we be looking out for?
I'm really happy that you asked me this question because this Makhana game can also become a hype. A lot of investors investing massively, but in the packaged Makhana. Now you can easily take a superfood and make it into a junk food. I can take the benefits of Makhana and put my flavors, my sugars, my maltodextrins, and all of the other stuff and rob this beautiful food of its health benefits. I would personally, what I do is I buy the plain white Makhana. I roast it at home with a little bit of olive oil or pure ghee, a little chili powder, a little turmeric and black pepper, and you have the most amazing snack, crunchy and healthy. Now, if you're looking at a brand, and that's my problem, we shouldn't take a superfood and make it into junk and fill it. And there are brands in the market filled with sugar, maltodextrin, colors and flavors and sodium levels that honestly, it just gets categorized as junk. So I would advise the Indian population, it's easy on your pocket as well. Just buy the plain, roast it at home. It takes you 3 to 4 minutes to actually roast it, and you can just have this, family snack together. Sometimes for me, it becomes a midday meal. I have that with a whole cup of yogurt, and I have a complete meal, maybe with some veggies on the side. So these are different ways we can, but in the name of convenience, we shouldn't spoil health by making it convenient by adding all the wrong ingredients.
Yeah, I'm very glad the other guests are also able to hear you right now and perhaps be able to take that message forward. But Luke, can I ask you a little bit more about where the Makhana actually comes from? It's called fox nuts, right? But it's not really a nut. It's actually a seed, comes from a plant, then is roasted. It's got a very fascinating history.
Yeah, it's not a nut. I remember having a patient saying, "Oh, look, I eat nuts every day," and he just sent me pictures of fox nuts.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a seed. It's a lotus seed. So it's not really a nut. We have to be clear about that. It is a seed, and it has these health benefits. And I really think by using this in our diets the right way. What I also think is great for companies in the food industry, because it's got crunch. It can replace a lot of these processed Rice Krispies that you put into bars and into children's cereals just for the crunch, because that has a high GI level, a glycemic index, which will shoot up your blood sugar. But fox nuts has a place over there to actually add to foods and to other creations in the culinary world, like even desserts. I once had a fox nut chocolate mousse. It was unbelievable. It had the crunch and, of course, without the high GI level. So there are ways we can strategically use this amazing seed in all of our preparations as well.
Cool.
Luke, maybe we'll just leave you with these two sets of questions. Firstly, you were talking a little bit about what it can do to insulin levels, the fact that it's not so bad. There's a lot of research that even the order you eat your food in matters. So if you start with the fiber, I think, and then go to, I believe it's fiber, then fats, then carbs, but I might be getting the order wrong. And the protein maybe second before the carbs. Does all of that matter when it comes to a food like makhana? And if we're saying it doesn't, are there other superfoods you'd suggest we replace here? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. There's always an order to eat, and you are right. It could be fiber first, it could be protein first. The last is always the carbohydrate. Now, considering my answer based on the population in India, where unfortunately most people are metabolically unfit, which means most people have metabolic syndrome, even if I'm having makhana, that's why I said I would pair it with something else. I would still pair it, because even if I'm not diabetic, I don't want to create insulin spikes in my body. So, I come from Goa, and in a little village that I used to live, I would see the people working in the fields have makhana with chana. And I thought, what a powerful combination. What an energy, your protein, everything. So I'm a huge fan of combining foods. Even if I'm super fit and healthy, or even if it was my athlete or a cricket player, I would give them makhana with peanuts or with chana or with yogurt. It's always good to pair foods, because we don't want too many insulin spikes, even if the GI level is low, because another problem that we have is we tend to overeat. It's very difficult to stop at 30 grams of makhana. It tastes really good. So you're usually going to go up to 60. So if you pair it, then you can avoid that guilt and also make sure that you balance your insulin levels.
Yeah. I remember my nani used to say a fistful and not more, and that's it. Nothing beyond that. So that's how
That's good advice.
he would pick it up and she would say, that's all that you're going to get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, before we let you go, I have to ask you this question on the jaggery makhana, which has been the rounds as well. A lot of people coat it at home, but coat it with jaggery, and for them it becomes like a sweet to have at the end of their meal. It sort of replaces any other sweet or any other dessert that you might have. Would you say it's comparatively better or a big no-no?
See, it depends on the person. If someone's highly diabetic, jaggery behaves like white sugar in your body. Yes, nutritionally, it may have a little bit more iron, a little bit more, magnesium and phosphorus and manganese. But the point is, now for an athlete or a child going for a football game or a child going for soccer practice, it's a great pre-workout. But again, I would add peanuts to it. I would add chana to it. But we have to understand that depending on who we are and our current medical situation, jaggery may not be the best for us. But now, to be fair, if I'm choosing a commercially ultra-processed sweet over this wins, for sure. Because I'm in control of just two ingredients, the makhana and the jaggery, rather than all the hidden ingredients and the wrong labels that exist in our country. So yes, to be fair, I'll answer it that way. So we make an informed decision about this. But if I had to choose a processed, commercially made sweet over making makhana with jaggery at home, I would take makhana with jaggery.
I appreciate that there are no simple answers. You're constantly saying, look a little deeper. It's only then that you're going to know what to do. Luke.
That's where we find the truth, always.
Yeah. Thank you so much for breaking this down for us, Luke. All right, we'd also like to thank Dr. Singh. Dr. Singh, thank you for joining us, telling us about the passion that is fueling the makhana resurgence in Bihar. And Rohit, thank you so much for sharing with us just what it takes to market this to the modern Indian consumer. All right, that was some makhana mania for you. We're going to be heading into a short break on the other side of the break.
Yeah, so that was quite a bit of snacking. On the other side, we take you all the way to the Aero India 2025 kickoff in Bengaluru, Asia's largest air show that is underway. The Indian Naval Aviation showcases also with their cutting-edge tech. The Russia's Su-57E is also there. Lots more on that on the other side.
One of the highlights of the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore is the participation of a fifth generation aircraft from both Russia and America. In fact, I'm showing you the visuals of Su-57E, that is the fifth generation fighter aircraft from Russia. There you have visuals. It is for the first time that the aircraft has come to India. And we have seen the pitch where Russia has in fact proposed a deal to purchase the aircraft from Russia, where they have in fact said that they are going to help India in jointly produce the aircrafts here in India. I'm showing you these visuals where this is for the very first time when this war-tested 5th generation aircraft has come to India. In fact, there was a lot of buzz whether or not India is considering these aircrafts for Indian Air Force. And yesterday, we saw that how the defense officials, in fact, clarified that they can go for the options available in future, given the fact that they are also looking to bridge the gap that we have because of the delayed deliveries of Tejas. In fact, these are the visuals. Once again, if I can show you the visuals. In fact, Pramod Saklani is giving you these shots where you are seeing the 5th generation fighter aircraft from Russia that has got the maximum takeoff weight of 34,000 kgs. Maximum speed is 2 Mach, and in fact the service ceiling of 18,800 meter. We have 12 hard points in this particular aircraft. This has got stealth capability, super maneuverability, and in fact a lot of advanced features. At this point in time, this is one of the most advanced aircraft in the entire world. And in fact, when we talk about the different scenarios, so this aircraft has been tested in the war that is ongoing. This is for the very first time when Su-57E has come here in India, and these are the visuals from the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore. The maximum part of excitement here in Aero India 2025 is for 5th generation aircraft. We have Su-57E from Russia and F-35 from US. And as of now, I'm showing you visuals of these American aircraft, F-16 and F-35 as well. You are seeing in these visuals that how these aircrafts have been standing here. In fact, initially there was a buzz that US Air Force is not participating, but now they have come with not these F-16, F-35 aircraft only, but have also got their bomber and refueler as well. This aircraft, this 5th generation aircraft, when we talk about it, so we know that how this is. It's a second arrival here in India. It has participated in a number of conflicts now. In fact, it was first used in Israel, and then recently we have seen that how US has used it against Houthis, and now they have come here with this particular aircraft. This is also one contender as far as 5th generation aircraft for India are concerned, and we know that how defense officials have in fact indicated that options are open for Indian officials and Indian forces as well, because as far as Indian Air Force is concerned, so we know that how delivery of Tejas in fact is delayed, and as of now India needs a 5th generation aircraft. F-35 is a single seat, single engine supersonic stealth fighter that can be used for multiple roles. It has been designed for both air superiority and strike missions, and in fact it can be used for intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities. F-35 is one of the advanced 5th generation aircraft in the world today. It can be used for vertical takeoffs. In fact, there are 3 different categories for F-35. In the F-35B category can be used, in fact the aircraft can be used for vertical takeoffs. It is the Navy version of the aircraft, and these aircrafts in fact are participating here in Aero India in 2025. One of the contenders for the 5th gen aircraft for India. This F-35 has participated this time around in Aero India 2025. The biggest defense and aviation expo, Aero India 2025, has begun here in Bangalore. The event is big with more than 900 exhibitors taking part. We have representation from more than 80 countries. Close to 40 defense ministers from all across the world are taking part, and we have a confirmation of close to 30 service chiefs from all across the world. The first day is a mix of a number of activities where we have seen that how Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh inaugurated the event first, followed by an air show where we saw a number of aircraft taking part in different maneuvers, and then we are going to see CEOs roundtable today. The event is going to focus on Make in India approach of the Defence Ministry, and we are going to see a number of aircraft, drones, UAV technology, weapons, missiles, and a number of related things. On one hand, we have Su-57E of Russia taking part in this event. On the other hand, we have F-35.
Welcome back. Let's take you now to planes that are soaring high in the skies in Bangalore. The 15th edition of the Aero India show has begun, and it is billed, remember, has always been as Asia's largest air show. The event is being hosted at the Air Force Station. It's in Yelahanka, and you're going to see a range of naval aviation assets, including MiG-29K, a fourth-generation carrier-borne fighter aircraft, the Sea King 42B, and anti-ship helicopters that will be showcased by the Indian forces at the show.
So CNN News 18 gets you these reports from Aero India, where Russia's Su-57E, United States F-35 and our major crowd pullers as usual, but the Su-57E flaunts stealth, super maneuverability and the next-gen avionics as well, while the F-35 brings cutting-edge tech from USAF. India too marks its mark with the AMCA engineering model, its prototype set for 2027. Here's a roundup.
One of the highlights of the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore is the participation of a fifth generation aircraft from both Russia and America. In fact, I'm showing you the visuals of Su-57E, that is the fifth generation fighter aircraft from Russia. There you have visuals. It is for the first time that the aircraft has come to India. And we have seen the pitch where Russia has in fact proposed a deal to purchase the aircraft from Russia, where they have in fact said that they are going to help India in jointly produce the aircrafts here in India. I'm showing you these visuals where this is for the very first time when this war-tested fifth generation aircraft has come to India. In fact, there was a lot of buzz whether or not India is considering these aircrafts for Indian Air Force, and yesterday we saw that how the defense officials in fact clarified that they can go for the options available in future, given the fact that they are also looking to bridge the gap that we have because of the delayed deliveries of Tejas. You are seeing the fifth generation fighter aircraft from Russia that has got the maximum takeoff weight of 34,000 kgs. Maximum speed is 2 Mach, and in fact the service ceiling of 18,800 meters. We have 12 hard points in this particular aircraft. This has got stealth capability, super maneuverability, and in fact a lot of advanced features. At this point in time, this is one of the most advanced aircraft.
Major presence at Aero India is US stealth fighter F-35. This is the second time that this has been brought to this air show, brought to Aero India. Remember, we have seen the stealth fighter of Russia, the Sukhoi Su-57, and competing with that is US's F-35. Obviously, F-35 stands out for its state-of-the-art computing, the kind of weapon range it has, the onboard mission systems, and the sensors and the long-range weapons that it can carry. And in fact, this is something that US has been in a way sending feelers to India when India looks at having or buying a fifth generation fighter, although the country wants to develop its own fifth generation fighter. But these two are going head on. Russia offering the Sukhoi 57 and US displaying its F-35 here. Well, remember, this is referred to as the flying computer because of the advanced computer systems on board, and it's usually seen as a game changer, and US has already manufactured this in a large number. Several countries already have this fighter with them, and here this one, although there is no major display of it, air display of it, the static display itself garnering a lot of attention. And as we mentioned, having these two fifth generation stealth fighters at the same air show has garnered a lot of attention.
All right, moving on. Budget 2025 was presented a few weeks ago, and one of the key takeaways from that was proposed doubling credit guarantees from the MSMEs and customized credit cards for micro enterprises as well. Steps like these have compounded by the Government of India's push for Make in India and startups puts banks in a very interesting position. So we thought, let's sit down with the DBS Bank's Managing Director and Head of Global Transaction Services, SME and Institutional Liability Business, Devesh Dayal, to understand this outlook. He joins us now. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Dalal. Now, the budget 2025 has revised the classification for MSMEs, proposed doubling credit guarantees as well to about 10 crores and customized, almost the credit cards for micro enterprises. How will these measures impact small business owners, and especially in the non-metros?
So first of all, thanks Sonal for having me on the show, and good morning viewers. So I think as most of us would have gone through the finer details of the budget, it's clearly a fantastic one for the MSME sector, as you would have seen. Clearly the government has really stepped up on the pedal, if I can use those words, to kind of help the MSME sector. Obviously the first one is increasing the credit guarantee to 10 crores. But the big one in my view is the whole reclassification piece, right? And the reclassification piece actually helps the MSMEs, a larger set of MSMEs, get into the Samadhan one, right? Which is basically getting paid within 45 days. Yeah. And even the subsidy for the tech side in terms of enhancement, right? The subsidy that the government is going to provide. So I think both these are most critical from a reclassification perspective. So I think that's going to be a big flip. The 10 crore piece on the credit guarantee one obviously is a great one, but also for first-time entrepreneurs, these are a good piece that they would basically give a 2 crore credit guarantee also. So I think these three things in my view are basically a big flip, and banks obviously will step up now and see how they can also facilitate, right? Because in addition to this, as you know, there is increased allocation on the credit guarantee for startups to 20 crores and also the export oriented units. So I think if you look at all of these in aggregation, it's just fantastic, right? I mean, if you're an MSME and you want support and you're exporting also, I think it's great time, right? There is government support and there are banks which are going to step in and you're going to have factoring services. So all of that, I think if you sum it up, it's a good place to be right now in my view.
Good place to be in. But what about R&D? Let's talk about that a little bit. The government has announced initiatives for R&D and proposed export promotion mission as well to boost export credit. Do you think this will help make India and the Indian MSMEs more globally competitive? And DBS Bank, for example, it has a very developed Asia network. What role can it play in helping MSMEs to tap into these regional supply chains?
So I think, so as I said earlier, I think a couple of things. First is just the credit guarantee support, really will kind of help the MSMEs. And obviously the government drive in terms of, enhancing the infrastructure, also kind of pushing the R&D pedal. I think that's going to be very critical in terms of getting the MSMEs a little more competitive in the marketplace. But from a DBS lens, I could state a couple of things, right? So the first one is, our Asia network, right? That's pretty strong. And our connectivity across key Asian markets where the MSMEs export and import both, I think those will really help us kind of connect the exporters in India. In addition to that, we have a digital platform which enables the exporter also to kind of submit documents digitally as well as even seek financing. Like I mentioned earlier, I think factoring in my view is going to be one of the key elements, right? And it's not just financing. Factoring doesn't enable you financing. Actually, it helps you sell more. So if you look at it from that lens, if there's an exporter in Kakinada who wants to sell to a buyer in Eastern Europe, that's where we'll come to play, right? So you actually open a new market for the exporter. So I think a couple of these things will really, really drive the export side very well. And obviously there are enablers around the 20 crore facility that's going to be given is for working capital. So this is on top of the the ECGS facility, right? So I think there is enough for the exporter, but what DBS brings to the table is a network and also factoring services digitally, which will help them actually sell more. And I feel the last one is a key one. That's the one which will hit the ball out of the park in my view.
Yeah, you're right. But Mr. Lal, you can get in financing, you can get in the network with banks like yours. But one thing that really pulls down is paperwork. Now, while Bharat TradeNet promises streamlined trade documentation, small exporters often struggle with the compliance costs and global competition, right? And further, MSMEs can also sometimes find new technology very overwhelming. Can banks like DBS, which are known to have very digitally advanced networks, help entrepreneurs leverage these digital platforms, even unlock some cross-border opportunities?
No, absolutely. So I think, the couple of things that, we've done at our end, and some of it has really helped us even 4 years back when COVID hit, right? So we have a very good, robust, scalable supply chain platform, which actually helped even, smaller suppliers get on the platform at COVID times. And you would agree, right? In COVID times, you couldn't have paper getting to the branch. There were restrictions around movement. So you needed the digital platform to actually enable, financing to be given to the MSMEs as well as the large buyers. So I think our platform is quite robust. We have it going on for the last 5 years, and there are more than 150 large anchors on it, close to 10,000 odd suppliers. So I think our ability to kind of scale up leveraging that platform is fantastic. The other piece that I'd like to mention out here is, like you mentioned, the paperless piece. There is this DigiDocs platform that DBS has, wherein we have the ability to actually obtain the documents that are submitted at branches. We can obtain it digitally on the platform, and even the interaction is done digitally with the exporter. So the exporter needn't come to the branch, but they can actually get to know the status of the transaction online itself. So I think that's the second piece, which is fantastic. And the third one is we actually leveraging the GSTN portal to validate the e-way bill number, right? So I think it's important for all of us, especially the lending institutions, to leverage some of these platforms to see how you can authenticate the validity or the underlying invoice for which financing is sought. How can you authenticate that digitally rather than taking the paper document? And I think leveraging the GSTN platform is just the best piece, right? So now we have the ability wherein we can actually validate with the GSTN portal because we're connected with them through APIs. And basis that, we can actually disperse loans or working capital facility to the MSMEs probably in minutes, right? Which earlier would require them to come into the branch, give documents, wait for it to get cleared, and then the credit would be given to the bank account. So I think once you start leveraging some of these data points which are available, I think it'll just be fantastic. So I think these three, in addition to the network, will help us kind of push the whole digital agenda, for which last 5 years we've been really driving it, and we've been quite successful in the market, in my view. So I think there is a lot of space out here for us to kind of go ahead and build out on our digital prowess and help customers go digital also.
Okay, let's shift our focus to startups for a minute there. The 10,000 crore fund of funds targets startups, but we know that many young businesses can fail due to challenges with cash flow. How can banks supplement the funding stack, and does DBS have any specific measures to encourage startups?
Yeah, so as you would know, we actually have a $250 million specific allocation towards funding of startups. Now this is like the bank has decided that, look, the startups are a key element in the entire ecosystem, and we clearly believe that they will enable us to even go digital, right? So I think that's the first piece. So we clearly have a big commitment out there. Second is, in addition to the commitment, we've got a separate group within the bank. It's called a digital economy group, which is called DG. They specifically look at startups, across, let's say, Series A, B, and even at seed level. So they look at startups across levels to see if there's opportunity for us to kind of work with them. The third thing we do is we work with financial sponsors, right, which could be private equity and VCs, to see if they have investments made in Series A or B, and see companies wherein we could kind of leverage and either give working capital facility, or, like I mentioned earlier, right, give factoring facilities for folks, or even exporting, because some of these startups are not aware of what are the facilities that banks can provide them, which will enable them to grow. So again, our drive is not just providing financing, our drive is how we help them grow. And I think that's going to be the key agenda for us, even when we look at startups. So even though we have the DG as well as the funds allocated, but our key focus is how do we help the startup grow, right? How do we help them become a little more efficient? So I think a couple of these things working together really helps us kind of work far more efficiently compared to others in the space.
That's nicely put. We leave it there for the moment. Thank you so much, Mr. Dalal, for joining us here on the Breakfast Club.
All right, we're not done speaking about the world of finance. Let's bring you now a special section on financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Let's take a look first at the markets. An overview first. GIFT Nifty indicating a stable opening for Indian stock markets. US stock markets close higher on buying in shares of steel and metal companies. This is post-Trump's proposal of tariff. Gold prices are extending gains as US tariffs on imports of steel and aluminium stoke inflation concerns, and crude oil prices are edging higher amid concerns about a tightening of supplies. Let's take a look now at one sector in particular. Steel and aluminium constitute 4.5% of the US import bill. For both commodities, import dependence is high. The recent announcement from the US of additional tariff of 25% on aluminium and steel has sparked fears of another possible trade war taking place globally. Now, what are the risks going to be for Indian metal producers? You can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's steel sector, how it's bracing for this, but also various other actionable insights on the markets. Money Control Pro is the premier destination for all investing views and financial insights you're ever going to need. Brought to you, of course, as we said earlier, by Money Control.
All right, on that note, we're going to slip into a break. Back in a moment with our video of the day.
बात जब अपने फैमिली की
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that be because that's Israel's decision. But as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday. And if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. I think it's a great human tragedy what's happened, how people can be that mean to do. I'm speaking for myself. Israel can override it, but from myself, Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
Hamas said on Monday it would stop releasing Israeli hostages until further notice over what it called Israeli violation of the ceasefire agreement, raising the risk of reigniting the conflict. The Palestinian militant group was set to release more Israeli hostages on Saturday in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and other Palestinians held in Israeli detention, as had been happening over the last 3 weeks. A Hamas military wing spokesperson said Israeli violations include delaying Palestinians from returning to northern Gaza, targeting Palestinians with Israeli shelling and gunfire, and stopping aid from entering the Strip. Israel's defense minister said Hamas's announcement violated the ceasefire deal and that he had instructed the military to be at the highest level of readiness in Gaza. Protesters in Tel Aviv demanded the safe return of all hostages on Monday.
We are getting used to seeing our people getting back, sometimes horrible conditions, but alive. And we're expecting for this deal to continue until its very end, and by the conditions fully.
A group representing hostage families called on mediators to stop the deal from breaking down, while a group representing Israeli military veterans accused the government of intentionally sabotaging the agreement. So far, 16 of the 33 hostages to be released in the first 42-day phase of the deal have come home. An additional 5 Thai hostages were returned in an unscheduled release. In exchange, Israel has released hundreds of prisoners and detainees. Meanwhile, Gazans are trying to rebuild their lives in the shattered enclave. The unexpected announcement comes amid growing doubts over an already fragile ceasefire that has largely held since it began on January 19th. Although there have been some incidents in which Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces and Hamas delays in providing names of hostages it planned to free. Aid agencies say the amount of aid getting into Gaza has increased since the ceasefire. Talks began last week on a second stage of the ceasefire deal, but have shown little sign of serious progress.
All right, small acts of kindness often leave the biggest impact, and a recent incident in Nepal beautifully illustrated this. A heartwarming video captured a group of school children coming together to raise money for their friend. Prince can join them on the school picnic shared on Instagram by the teacher named Sangya. I hope I'm getting that right, yeah.
The video begins with the teacher actually asking the students what they're doing, and they explain that they're collecting funds to cover Prince's picnic expenses, which is what you see happening there. When the teacher offers to pay herself, they all refuse. They insist that they want to contribute and make this possible. This clip obviously captures this beautiful little moment when Prince, he's overwhelmed by all this generosity, breaks down in tears. We hope this leaves you with a smile through the rest of your day.
Thank you. Be happy. Good boy. Good. Pranav, what are you doing? Why? How many you have collected? How much? This much? This money? For whom? Prince. For Prince? Don't collect this money. I am going to give
MDH का किचन
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that be because that's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. I think it's a great human tragedy what's happened, how people can be that mean to do. I'm speaking for myself. Israel can override it, but from myself, Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
Hamas said on Monday it would stop releasing Israeli hostages until further notice over what it called Israeli violation of the ceasefire agreement, raising the risk of reigniting the conflict. The Palestinian militant group was set to release more Israeli hostages on Saturday in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and other Palestinians held in Israeli detention, as had been happening over the last 3 weeks. A Hamas military wing spokesperson said Israeli violations include delaying Palestinians from returning to northern Gaza, targeting Palestinians with Israeli shelling and gunfire, and stopping aid from entering the Strip. Israel's defense minister said Hamas's announcement violated the ceasefire deal and that he had instructed the military to be at the highest level of readiness in Gaza. Protesters in Tel Aviv demanded the safe return of all hostages on Monday.
We are getting used to seeing our people getting back, sometimes horrible conditions, but alive. And we're expecting for this deal to continue until its very end, and by the conditions fully.
A group representing hostage families called on mediators to stop the deal from breaking down, while a group representing Israeli military veterans accused the government of intentionally sabotaging the agreement. So far, 16 of the 33 hostages to be released in the first 42-day phase of the deal have come home. An additional 5 Thai hostages were returned in an unscheduled release. In exchange, Israel has released hundreds of prisoners and detainees. Meanwhile, Gazans are trying to rebuild their lives in the shattered enclave. The unexpected announcement comes amid growing doubts over an already fragile ceasefire that has largely held since it began on January 19th. Although there have been some incidents in which Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces and Hamas delays in providing names of hostages it planned to free. Aid agencies say the amount of aid getting into Gaza has increased since the ceasefire. Talks began last week on a second stage of the ceasefire deal, but have shown little sign of serious progress.
Hello and good morning. Thank you for tuning into CNN News 18. I'm Shane Elizabeth Matthew. Let's begin this bulletin with the top news this hour, which is coming in from France. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is on a visit to France, attended dinner hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron. Now, Macron received Prime Minister Modi with a warm hug as both leaders shared a candid moment. Now, Prime Minister also met United States Vice President J.D. Vance and congratulated him for the great victory in the United States elections. Now, earlier today, videos have emerged from Paris showing members of Indian community chanting Modi ki guarantee as they welcomed him. Now, taking to X, Prime Minister Modi shared the picture of his warm welcome and thanked for the diaspora for their affection. Now, Prime Minister is expected to join French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris to co-chair the AI Action Summit later today. Both the leaders will hold bilateral discussions and interact with business leaders. Now, tomorrow, the two leaders will jointly inaugurate the Consulate General of India in Marseille and will pay a visit to Kadash, which is the site of the International Thermal Nuclear Experimental Reactor. Now, after wrapping up France's visit, Prime Minister Modi is all set to travel to the United States.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been invited by President Macron to co-chair the AI Summit. This special gesture is a recognition of PM's vision and thought on AI and India's expanding role in the domain of new and emerging technologies. PM's presence at the summit as the third-term leader of the largest democracy in the world adds its own convening weight to a conversation that has far-reaching global implications. India-France strategic partnership has been dealing with key global issues together. Both countries had launched the International Solar Alliance in Paris on the sidelines of COP in 2015. They are also the co-chairs of the global body, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. The two countries would now be co-chairing the AI Summit in an effort to mark the contours of AI development, its regulation and governance. India and France are writing the new codes of a green and sustainable planet and indeed of the digital world. AI Summit would be attended by several heads of state, governments. It will be an occasion for India to contribute towards inclusive, responsible and equitable development of AI and address several of its associated issues, risks, ethics, governance and accessibility. It would also be an occasion for India to share its views on democratization of technology and what must be done to bring the benefits of AI to the global south. PM and President Macron share warm personal equation. The two leaders met thrice in 2024, with President Macron attending the Republic Day celebrations 2024 as India's chief guest. India-France strategic ties traditionally pivoted on defense, security, space and civil nuclear energy collaboration is now fast expanding into areas such as tech, innovation, renewable energy, trade, economy, supply chain partnership and people-to-people relations.
सर बताइए, प्रधानमंत्री जी से आप मिले, बातचीत हुई, कुछ क्या बोले प्रधानमंत्री आपको देख के?
मेरा नाम अरविंद आहिर है, मैं गुजरात सूरत शहर का रहने वाला हूँ। मैं 35 साल से पेरिस में रहता हूँ और प्रधानमंत्री का स्वागत मैंने इस 7वीं बार किया।
7वीं बार किया?
7वीं बार। और मैं पर्सनली 15 बार मिला हूँ प्रधानमंत्री।
तो पहचान ही गए होंगे प्रधानमंत्री जी?
मुझे पहचान जाए, अरविंद भाई कैसे हो, सब मुझे पूछ रहे थे वो। लेकिन जितना प्रधानमंत्री का उत्साही पब्लिक में यहाँ पेरिस में है, हम बहुत दिल से प्रधानमंत्री की स्वागत करने के लिए सुबह से तरफ रहे थे। जैसे प्रधानमंत्री आए, सबको मिले, सबके साथ सम्मान से बात किया। ये बहुत हमारे लिए, हमारे देश के लिए, हमारे भारतीयों के लिए गौरव की बात है।
You have come from SCON organization. Did you meet Prime Minister Modi? What did you tell him? Did he accept your greetings?
Yes, we are from ISKCON in France, and Mr. Modi, unfortunately, we couldn't speak too much to him because there was a large crowd.
There were a lot of crowd.
But he has visited some of our centers around the world, and I've met him already once in India. And so this is acknowledging simply the best of the culture that we figure out, obviously, in India today, because we are devotees of Krishna. So, and he's also a devotee.
You are a French national.
I'm a French national, correct. And we have an organization here.
How do you look at the kind of popularity Prime Minister Modi enjoys? I mean, at the time of his arrivals, there were roads which were blocked on both the sides, and Indian community gathered in large numbers to receive him.
Yeah, I think Indian communities are not as strong, or let's say not as big as other countries in the West, but still, they're very fond of our organization today, and Mr. Modi also is well accepted by Prime Minister President Macron. I'm sorry. So I think there's some kind of Franco-Indian relationship that is going on, and obviously this is in the material sphere. Spiritually speaking, we're still here to do the necessary for spiritual matters, of course.
मैंने उनसे बात की है कि देश के ये पहले प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं जो सब धर्मों की बात करते हैं, सिख गुरुओं के जन्मदिन मनाते हैं, साहिबजादों के जन्मदिन मनाते हैं और सबको साथ लेके चलते हैं, सबका साथ सबका विकास। ये पहले प्रधानमंत्री है जो सबके धर्मों के लिए बात करते हैं।
चौथी दफा मिला हूँ मोदी जी से, चौथी दफा मिला हूँ। मेरे को पहचानते हैं, बोलते कैम छे, मेरे को कैम छे, मैंने पूछू जो गुजराती माँ। हमारे मोदी जी आए हैं, भारत माता की जय।
और कितना अच्छा मोमेंट है कि मोदी जी एआई समिट के लिए आए हैं। फ्रांस भी आज भारत को डेवलप कंट्रीज में देख रहा है। इससे हमारी इमेज भारत की जो इतनी ऊपर जा रही है, हर बार मोदी जी की विजिट के साथ कुछ ना कुछ नया अचीव करते हैं। इस बार हम लोग मार्साई में नया कंसुलेट खोल रहा है। हम लोग इंडियन डायस्पोरा के बिहाफ पर एक ही रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं कि एक सांस्कृतिक भवन हो, कल्चरल सेंटर, जो सुषमा स्वराज जी ने इनॉग्रेट किया था। अगर उस डायरेक्शन में कुछ और आगे पहल हो तो बहुत अच्छा होगा इंडियन डायस्पोरा की तरफ से।
US has been the leader in AI. China has sent shockwaves, few days back by launching DeepSeek. Where do we stand? When are we going to come up with our own chatbot, or perhaps something beyond that, some other solution?
See, speaking of China, definitely a shockwave or DeepSeek, but the best part is just ask about Arunachal Pradesh, ask about Taiwan, it goes blank.
Yeah.
So I mean, okay, let's not talk about it. But the thing is, I think in India, we are on the right track.
Okay.
I think as of now in the country, we have around 4,000 startups working in the AI field.
Yeah.
In India, we have seen that the government is taking lead. We have the India AI mission. So I think we are on the right track, given the kind of talent.
All right, I'm now joined by CNN News 18's Akansha Swarup on this broadcast. Akansha, when we talk about this crucial visit, the 3-day visit of Prime Minister Modi in France, what all are in agenda in the next 2 days to come?
Right. Remember, Sharon, the timing of this entire show is very critical because just some time ago, we've also seen visuals of Prime Minister being introduced to the US Vice President J.D. Vance.
Yes.
In fact, the French President Macron stepped out to receive the Indian Prime Minister. That courtesy was only extended to him. We didn't see that happen with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz or even the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. So having said that, that also